connect, serve, and grow is what you can expect at the House of Reconciliation. Leadership, community, education, wellness, and participation is part of our plan for your spiritual growth and success. Family and faith is a core value for the House of Reconciliation, working to help people find their purpose. Want to make an impact in the kingdom? Ready to tap into your future? Meet us at the House Sundays with Pastor Reginald Campbell, www.houseofreconciliation.org.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. We're here at the House of Reconciliation at the Greenville campus, 1427 Suite E Launch Road, for in-person discussion this evening, as well as we welcome in the Greenwood campus. We thank you. That is at 210 Pansy Road, Hodges, South Carolina. And also we welcome in our virtual campus and all of our global partners. We thank you for the opportunity. I had a chance to talk to Brother Ray, had a chance over the weekend to see Reverend Curtis Fleming. Those are part of our virtual campus members, some of them that I talked to and saw this weekend. So give you all a big thanks up for hearing from you and being a part of the service. We were in Columbia, and thank you to the ministry in Columbia where we went there and had a great time. We're going to get into it this evening. This is kind of bitey, so for those that are writing, if you can find the threading in it, it will really help you. We talked about what about you and your future. We're dealing with transition to transformation, and that is a very challenging thing for the average person because he or she is set in their ways. And they have their subconscious and they have their spirit talking to them. And then there's the small voice of God. And sometimes with an individual, he or she cannot differentiate between the three, whether it's me, whether it's a little voice in my head, or actually it is God. So here's what we look at. Proverbs 21:5, it says, the plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes to poverty. We're going to go to the next level of that, and we're going to begin to share with you tools of critical thinking. So the discussion tonight is going to be money decisions. We're actually going to go to Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter, verse 12. It reads as follows: for wisdom is a defense. Now, I would say to people, who are your mentors? Where are you receiving your information from? And are you even researching information? Or you drawing everything through I like and I dislike? I'll give you one thing. I was with one of my mentors today, and we were having a conversation, and he made a very clear statement. He said, regardless of whatever ethnicity you see a person is, he said, generally during the week, if you see people riding around in really fancy vehicles, he said 9 times out of 10, they are consumers and not producers. Consumers show you what they have. Producers continue to produce, and they keep what they have, mainly hidden from the public. So my question is, how do you make your money decisions? How do you make your money decisions? It says wisdom is a defense. So if wisdom is a defense, and it says, and money is a defense, but the excellence of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it. So a lot of people come and they ask, and they want to get the nuggets, and they want to go out and they want to look apart, have something, but it's almost like stealing from the bank. In your relationship with God, in order to acquire wisdom, what do you give back? And what do you put back in order to show your appreciation? Now, there is a biblical text that I heard the great Bishop Jakes share, was simple. He said these words. He said, and Jesse saddled an ass and put wine and bread and sent it to the king. Now he said, if you study the king, who was Saul, Saul didn't need it. See, many people are seeking and want to get the nuggets of believers, but never want to participate as a believer. They are what we call, they're not like Cornelius in the Bible who was apostolate. They are people who want the nuggets but don't want the relationship with God. And they tend to use certain phrases like, I know I'm God's child. We all are. But watch this. We're not all his heirs. He spoke very specifically with Abraham. And Abraham, he spoke and said, is a friend. Because Abraham made sacrifices. See, people many times want to glean, but they never sacrifice, and they never want to share. So when I learned that, he says, so anytime that anybody is going to give you more than what you have, you need to show your appreciation. What people generally do is criticize someone who is trying to make you better in knowledge and in wisdom. And you go and it turns into spoils. So as I share this with you, I want you to know that you're never going to get the full benefit if you don't have a healthy, ongoing spiritual relationship with God. The Bible says, for God is a spirit and they that worship him. And even though he's a spirit and we are human, we have to make sacrifices. I've talked to so many people, and it is a challenge to get people to come back to in service. It's easy for them just to, and they say, and then here's the thing, they give you 30 seconds and they flip. And then they check their conscience and say, oh, I was at church. And so in the 2+ years that we had the pandemic, there were a lot of people that worked from home. And so now some companies are requiring to come back to the office. It's amazing. Nobody wants to come back to the office, but everybody want to get the same paycheck. Hello? Because now you're taking me out of my new comfort zone. And in order to grow and to transition, one has to come out of the comfort zone, and the things that bring you out of it, if you notice this in Ecclesiastes 7:12, it is not the emotions and the feelings. It is not who you know. It's not what you know. It is the excellence of knowledge that is given, that giveth wisdom and giveth life. This is what separates people, not what I have, not what I wear, not what I think, definitely not my attitude. It's a whole psalm of body, mind, and spirit in tune, in relationship with God. So when he says this, it says money decisions. So the question becomes, here is what for those that are writing. How you make your decisions determine how your outcome would be. And most people don't think about that. They say, well, I prayed. I went and asked the prophet. I went and asked the preacher. I went and talked to my financial guy. Well, here's the thing. When did you really talk to God? And why would God bless you to do less? Because the more you get, the less people really want to talk to God. And so what God sees on that side is the things that you're asking for. And the reason many of your prayers haven't been answered is because he doesn't get enough attention already. So if he were to answer your next 3 prayers, God may not hear from you until somebody passes. You want real life? More people show up for a funeral than they do Sunday morning service. They will take off from their job. They will drive in town, fly in town for someone who can't even see them. But on Sunday morning, to get the word and to get life, you can't find them. We believe more in death than the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So my question is, how you make your decision. So what causes you to make a decision? A money decision determines how your outcome will be. And what it really is based on the information that you have. Here is what most people don't have. Always qualify your information before you speak it or act on it. Always qualify. I can give you an example. I believe, what's the day? I believe on Monday they celebrated MLK. There was a statue that drew so much criticism because of an opinion. And so the artist and one of the heirs of Dr. King had to clear it up and said it is the embrace that they had that he captured with their arms. But because of people's illusion and delusion, they came up with something foul and gross. And it sparked all of this conversation. And so now watch this. The media puts the headlines up about this particular sculpture. And so I just saw the headlines and I said to myself, why would somebody, do that? So then when I actually read a legitimate article from a legitimate media outlet, it said it was Dr. King and his wife, Coretta, am I correct? Embracing, and it was like she was holding him up with all that he was going through. Because I did not know he was stabbed in the chest by one of y'all who was delusional. And they told him not to cough or sneeze, stay still, because it's so close to your heart. I would have left y'all when I got healed and got better. I wouldn't have said nothing. I would have flipped off everybody and flew out of town. I'm trying to help you and you trying to kill me. That's what people do when information comes to change their life. New information and transition to transformation will upset the norm. And so the lady, if I'm not mistaken, is either still in prison or was in a mental institution for a long time. And they said it was so close to his heart. But thank God for people who had the right information. See, in order to move your life forward, there are going to be people who are going to come after you. People don't fight people that don't have something that the person that's fighting them don't have. They come after you because you possess something. So it says how you make decisions determine your outcome. So if you make them with our emotion, these are money decisions. If you make them to prove a point, kind of goes back to when I was teaching finances and I talked about a young man who was 32 years old and he was saving and how he pulled the $60,000 out of his 401k and went and purchased a car. $60,000 to go purchase a car to go to happy hour to show his friends to get the wow. Here's the point, that one decision cost him $550,000 long term. Every decision you make and every dollar you spend affects your future. Not only does it affect tomorrow, it affects your future. So he was saving $200 a month. And so when he came to his senses and nobody was wowing him about his car anymore, he had wiped out his 401k and paid the 39% penalty and got a car, and then found out by the time he would have been 65, he had lost over $550,000. Here's something I'm going to say, money decisions. Every person that has a child, depends on how many you have, by the age of 5, I think I saw a statistic or information that said if you were to put $500 or $600 in an account and put it in a high yield account, savings account, by the time they're 65, they will not need Social Security. And when they turn 17 to 18, it's a time that they should start putting the money into the account. And that's how most ethnicities work. So they are able to sidestep poverty and struggle. Many of successful people, money decisions. How can your children work in the field that you don't work in? What are you saying? I don't understand that. Most people don't even have a field for their children to work in. So the children are left to the lowest form of occupation. I won't call their names because I'm quite sure there are people be upset on social media. So that's the only job they can get. And really, here's the problem why many other people have businesses that their children can grow up in and learn the business. It's because they want their children to be of a certain culture and a certain mindset and have a certain knowledge base. So for me, who shares financial information, what does your children have to follow? Even if you work for a company, what is your side business that your sons and daughters can learn how to answer the phone professionally? How can you expect them to produce a yield when you don't have a yield? Most successful companies, most successful families, most of the people, they work in the family business. It doesn't mean they like the family business, but they work in the family business, and they teach other ethnicities, don't work for your family. Can I explain one of the reasons why? Most certain ethnicities who have their own business, they don't run it like a business. We were on the road Sunday, and I just taught, I believe it was at the Greenwood campus, the difference between a mom and a pop and a corporation. And when we pulled up to meet the other gentleman, the mom and the pop had been there 50 years plus on the side of the road, a gas station. And God knows one of the main ones that's out of Oklahoma and Texas moved across the street. I stayed in the store, couldn't find a pump to get gas. 60 people in line, 20 in the bathroom. I didn't go in the women's bathroom. So you had to wait for everything. The mom and pop across the street was open. See, here's the thing. When you build it about you and you don't have vision, it will die. And so everybody said, well, they must be closed. I said, no, they open. Not a car at the gas pump. See, if you don't transition, you can never meet the demands of what's now. And the demands of now is what will help you build the future. And so here's the thing that I've learned. When you really make a plan, and that's why I went to one of my mentors today, he sat down to me, and the biggest thing, and I wish I could, put everybody on my shoulder and take them, is if I had one sentence to take away from it, if you don't have anything to yield anything, then you will never have anything that will bring a yield. Because all they talked about were land and buildings. And I shared with an investor over here one of the codes that they use. So then they don't pay taxes. It was all about old buildings, new buildings, and lands, and clearing off and doing things. And then what they do is they strip it from the bottom, and they pay cash for everything, and they keep a low profile. So here's what, if your information, and so I'll say it again, how can your generation, how can the next generation, your sons and your daughters, what do they have to look for besides working for somebody else? There's a major software company right now. If you don't have Apple, you normally have this other one. And they are already laying off over 10,000 people between now and Friday. What's working for you? Or are you still busy trying to show everybody what you got and pull up with this and that and dress like this and that? What's out there working for you? The mom and pop who had raised generation after generation, somebody or somebody didn't listen to someone and say, we need to remodel this place. We need to go see how they're doing it. If you've been in the business that long, here's something now that's going to be a little tight, money decision. You haven't really talked to anybody, or you haven't gone and updated your information and have 3 to 5 bankers on your side that you can go and buy the land across the street and do the same thing, some of these major, because you're comfortable with where you are. Your job is to inspire the next generation. And many ethnicities, their inspiration is get a job. People want to look wealthy, but the wealthy people don't look wealthy. Does this make sense? See, when it says, but the excellence of knowledge, this is what I'm trying to say, is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it. When you have a plan and you don't make decisions with your money, through emotions and feelings and necessities, there's some time you're going to have to say no and leave people on the sideline and save your money. How you make your decisions will determine how the outcome will be based on the information that you have. Always qualify your information. Get a third opinion. Here's the catch. If you don't have the right defense, it is impossible to have a good outcome. Why am I teaching this? Why am I sharing this? Because right now, they don't want to say we're in the middle of a recession, but inflation is still high. Interest rates are still high. People are still constantly overpaying. And here's the point. How are you going to continue to pay if you lose your job? And here's what people will tell you. Well, wait till it gets better. When it gets better, you can't get in the game. Am I right? You have to get in the game when everything's at the bottom and at its worst. If there ever was a time to start a business, it's now. Because if you can make it through the next 18 to 24 months, and here's the thing, it doesn't matter who sits in the office. A recession is inevitable based on the cycle of economics. With every fruit tree, there's a down year. You look at pecan trees, they don't produce every year. Some trees produce every year, and some trees produce every 2 or 3 years. So the real question is when you get a yield, what do you do with it? Because before you can have inflation, before you can have a famine, it's the old word in the Bible, you have to have prosperity. And after prosperity, which most people don't like and many people don't say, but after a prosperity cycle, there comes a famine. And what happens is most people overspend in the window of prosperity. They never plant. They only show. They talk and they tell. And they don't store up. So the question becomes, if you don't have the right defense, money is a defense. So money can protect your valuables. What do you have that's priceless that you want to pass on down in your family? You want to pass on down your struggle with employment? You want to pass on down your debt? What's the sovereignty of your family? What are the core things? And here's the thing. Here's one of the biggest tricks in certain things. Other people, and I won't call the name of this ethnicity, but they hate what their family does. But yet they do it because it's already dug out. It's already producing. And then they go do what they want to do and find somebody to run the business. If you were not able now, how positioned is your family? Because, see, here's what we don't get. Caesar, on the Planet of the Apes, he said, 1 ape. Anybody got a pencil that they don't need? Let me have that pencil. Give me about 4 pencils if you got them. Caesar did this and I saw this. Give me a couple. I'm not more than, no, yeah, there you go. Give me like one more if you got it. It can be a pen. I just want to do an illustration. This look like somebody wrote with this one, so this one will be easy. Thank you. Here's where most people fail. Not that they intend to fail, is that they don't have support. See, for your vision to come through, you're going to need a team. So Caesar said, when they were getting ready to consider departing and rising up, he said, 1 ape you can break because it has no support. See, sometimes they teach you that they single out and they keep everybody as a soldier. You don't need to be a soldier. You need to be a part of the army. So then when things come, you protect the core value of getting it to the market and getting it done. So he said, when apes combine, you can't break them. So it's an age-old theory, divide and conquer. So you can have a good plan and a good dream, but here's the thing, everything rides on your shoulders. Because right now we live in the selfie world, the me, myself, and I. People take more pictures of themselves. Anybody want to say that? They'll. If you had as much money, as much pictures as you have. Yes. We don't have the right defense. Too many people are trying to do things single. And so when you start advancing, you will find that your circle and your inner circle may not have the same vision you do. And part of transitioning is getting in a circle that see what you see. And some of them are ahead of you, and you can get with them, and you can go into the land of transformation. Can I break that down to you? Can you give me a minute to break it down? I think it's in Joshua, the 14th chapter, in the 10th verse, where Caleb came back. And so in all of my travels today, it wasn't until I got here that God spoke to me about a situation that I'm dealing with. God spoke to Caleb when he was 20 years old and said, you're going to go. But the problem is the group you with can't go. And many of us are right there. And so Caleb had to wait 45 years before he could possess the land that the Lord had said, wherever your feet trample, I will give you that land. And I don't know if it was in reading the analytics of it, or it's actually in a different translation, but Caleb came back to Joshua and the Lord, and he said to them, I think it's Joshua 14 and 10. Is it right? He said, I have preserved myself, and I have the strength that I had when I was 20 at 85 years old. What he had did, and see, here's the frustration. When you're not patient to put all the pieces together, then you won't be patient when your vision is under pressure. Because everybody's vision is going to have a waiting period. Everybody's destiny is going to have a waiting period. And what keeps you glued is the word of God and the knowledge that God has given you. Because when God gives you his word, he'll wipe out a whole nation in order for his word to be fulfilled. And so Caleb came back and said, because God said it. So while I sat there and watched people die, I preserved myself. I ate the right food. I assembled young men who could help me fight. And at 85, I'm ready for war. How many of us would have walked away? Caleb made a money decision. He didn't take the easy route. He said, I was on that mountain. And to this day, Caleb's descendants still possess that mountain. He made a money decision. And so while he was in waiting for 45 years, God knows, I hope we don't have to wait 45 years. Somebody say, no, Lord. No, Lord. But here's the conclusion. What he did is he aligned himself with his purpose and his destiny. Sometime the group you in, sometime the people you hang around, sometime the people you rely on, it's not a part of your group for purpose and destiny. So what Caleb did is he said, listen, he said, Brother Joshua, I just want to remind you what God told me. And I realized he said it 45 years ago. But because he said it, and I believed him, and what's in my heart, I'm ready to do it. When your opportunity comes, while you are waiting, before your patent comes along, before you purchase that next piece of property, or you prepare defensively with money and knowledge. That happens, and that's why I said earlier, are you aligned with God? Because a lot of people are like, oh, well, I go. It is nothing. People have no sense of their word anymore, no commitment to their word. Oh, I'm coming. Oh, I'll be at church. Oh, I'm going to watch online. I'm still a member. This is my watch. Anytime you move and get a mile, it's going to tell you. So just it ain't the devil in my watch. It's my watch. It's telling me how many steps and what my heart is. When you get my age, you need all this stuff. I need to keep up with that, because if it beat too fast, y'all better come get it, brother. Don't leave me up here be like, oh, let him fall out on camera. Or let it get it. Or check his pocket before you go. Somebody be saying, don't take it. Hold on. He's still breathing. Don't call nobody yet. You got his bag? Yeah, I got his bag. Okay. You know his card? I got the card number. All right, we're going to leave. Then we're going to call somebody to come get him. And we're going to crack the door. See, here's the thing. Instead of frustrating yourself, put a real plan together with God. That's what Caleb did. He put a real plan. He quit listening to his friends. He saw people dying. And it took 5 years for them to cross from the wilderness. Now, mind you, history says they were only 2.5 miles away from the promised land. Some call it a day and a half or 2.5 day journey. It took 5 years, because here's what they did. While they were waiting, they grew. And when they listened to the leader, nobody failed to make it. Not one tribe. Not Dan, not Gad, not Issachar, not Judah, not Benjamin, not Ephraim, not Manasseh. Every one of them tried. Oh, yeah, honey, I can go back. Now, don't take me too far back, because I won't remember. I remember my founder and pastor said this young man was preaching, and the preacher was in the pulpit hollering, go on back. He kept going back and was quoting things in the Bible. Go on back. And so then he got so back, and he said, before God, he said, you're going too far. Because he got caught up in his feelings. And, everybody pumping you up, and you going. But instead of frustrating yourself, put a real plan together with God. And don't just think God is an ATM machine that you can draw something from. I was talking to, and he may be watching, I was talking to Pastor Corey Webb today, and I was sharing with him, I understand my role. I'm a Joshua. I know what God said. I will die for what he said. But you got to watch out what kind of leader you under. There are leaders that will take you to the wilderness and manipulate you on the way to the wilderness. And then there are leaders that will take you back to Egypt. But then there's God leaders that will take you that you can prosper. Because if you don't know history, all 12 tribes prospered way better than Joshua. All of them. Ethan and Manasseh were the two bigger. They became the and Judah and Benjamin was the southern kingdom, and they said, we will protect our brothers. So you got to understand, as a leader, your portion may be bigger than mine. But there should be no jealousy, because my job is to make sure you get everything you get. So I told him, I said, that you got leaders who want to preach people happy and get them all emotional. And I'm taking up this time to say this, because he said, wow, brother, you just helped me. They get you drunk. But have anybody ever been around drunk people? What do drunk people normally do? They vomit. So what all that was put in you that was emotional and exciting, you're going to vomit it up with all the emotions. And you're going to walk back out empty. I want to give you small bits, enough to appease your palates and to put food in your stomach and in your spirit, that you got to come back for more. I don't want to be the restaurant that's a buffet and give you an hour and a half for this, that, and the other. I want to be the one that plants that seed, that you go work and now you come back and your life is a testimony. Does this make sense? So here's the conclusion. Stop making up your own rules when you haven't gotten anything approved by God. God bless you.